like it being off the cuff. Here we go, live on Facebook. Let's see what happens in a group. All right. There we go. Take two. Site copy breakdown. Okay, there we go. We're doing it. Much easier like this.
Okay, I'm ready when you are.
All right, here we go. It's queuing up now. All right, we did it. We're live. We're on Facebook and we're on Zoom and all that fun stuff. So, JJ, welcome to the first ever Website Wednesday review. I guess you could say this is the actual first one. So,
Awesome.
um, we started somewhat rough trying to figure out Facebook, but we've got it now, so that's good. So the whole goal with this is I'm trying to not see it too much because I want to give more of a natural, off the cuff responses. So the whole goal here will be just, and again, it might not be that long of a call. We'll see how things go, but basically, we want to look at your website and look at it from a first and foremost from a copy standpoint, but then also the design too, and the way things are structured and the way they look. And obviously, there are no. I always like to say when it comes to copy, there are no rights and wrongs per se. There's like gearing it up for the right audience. So with that in mind, you're quite experienced yourself anyway. So why don't you tell everyone about yourself and your background, and then we'll go to the site.
Yeah, I kind of volunteered. I didn't know that this was going to be a one-on-one thing. I'm just trying to give value and feedback to your paid community. And I thought by being able to represent this from a design and a copy standpoint with over 5+ years experience, and I will admit I'm kind of a jack of all trades, but I've come a long way and I've really honed in on conversion copywriting. So my background stems from I'm a burned out factory worker, believe it or not, and I came this far to completely transition into, something that is um it's always going to be marketable. It's never going to have an expiration date. And that's why I love copywriting. That's why I love how the art of writing really interlaces very well with a lot of other facets in the industry, whether it's copywriting, whether it's design, UX, marketing, content marketing. I like to call it content experience. So um, I was a content marketer for 4.4 years until I got laid off from a biotechnology company locally. And I'm not new to freelancing. I'm just new to remote freelancing, where you need to have more of a sense of design and a copy standpoint with echo. 5+.
Yeah,
There's an echo.
yeah. I pulled up the chat so I can see if people chat now.
By the way, how do I see this on Facebook? The chat and everything. I'm
Yeah,
in the event page.
yeah. If you go onto the Facebook group,
Okay.
the main group, and then you'll
Okay.
find it. You'll see it on there. and then you can click on it, hit turn the audio off, and then you'll be good. And I'll switch my screens around. I have two screens, so I tend to look the wrong way because I look towards I always look towards you, but
Yeah, right.
I have to spin it. All right, so that's a little.
So that's kind of a brief overview more into what I'm doing today and you know, what I want to do more of.
Yeah, so you basically, I never would have thought of you as the factory guy, you know. So
Right?
interesting. Do you
Yeah.
find is there any of those experiences that you've seen help you in content or copy?
Especially from a conceptual thinking and design standpoint, a lot of major manufacturing companies don't do digital marketing the right way, or they're leaving a lot of money on the table because their homepages are not monetized or optimized to target the audience and start creating that customer journey the right way. They leave out the value proposition, they leave out a value offer that has a purpose for each section of the website where you want people to start taking action so that you can start segmenting your lists. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, they're not doing any of the kind of what we would consider like common sense in a sense,
Right.
right? Um, all right, so yeah, I think let's pull up your site and just kind
Yeah.
of go through it, and I think that I'll let you drive the ship here, and then I can jump in, but because I do think that you have such a good amount of value that you'll be able to add that I think that's important. But
Yeah.
I do think the key is always to discuss, and this is the thing that I always say, is
Hmm.
who are you,
Right.
who are you speaking to? Because until we know that, it's tough to say if it's good or you know
Right.
not good.
Well, and this is the struggle when you're writing your own portfolio. This is my first portfolio, and I've been updating it for the past month. I've even been updating it today as we speak. And I wanted to do something that this is kind of I wouldn't say this really fits a value proposition because it doesn't really target an audience per se, but I wanted to come up with something that was curious. It was clear, but it had a little bit of being clever. I try not to be clever, but and I've got some feedback from some other associates of mine, and they're like, I don't know about the cold garage hero thing. But then I go a little bit more in context to what that means, how Google got started, how Disney got started, Amazon and Starbucks, how they started out in a garage. And I thought, what a great way to kind of tell a story and really kind of get your creative juices flowing throughout my copy. So I'm making it relatable, saying that, well, you got to start from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So why not follow success into how they got started? And I'm sure there's books on it. There's uh, I don't like the word template, but there's templates that you can follow to have eliminate a lot of the costs involved with creating those journeys.
Yes. Agreed. So yeah, let's see it if you can. If you
Yeah.
can share your screen, and then we'll see it, and then we'll talk
Oh
about.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I think it's in the center there.
Okay, can you see it?
Oh yeah, that was great. Let me make sure it shows up on the Facebook side. I think it will in a second. Yeah, just give it. Yep, and yep, we're good. Okay, so yeah, people can see it now. Just so you know, Facebook is a few seconds behind us, so there might be
Okay.
a little bit of time. But
Some
yeah,
lag.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, we can see it now. So all right, all right,
Well, one of the things that I like to do, Mike, if you want me to keep taking the wheel here, is I
yeah,
like to read my copy out loud. I
yeah,
like to know if there's any pauses or if there's anything that I kind of stutter over or that might need a little bit more state of flow throughout the copy itself. So I normally don't start with a quote or anything like that, but I think this really works well with introduction that I came up with. So ideas are meaningless without execution, and without strategy, execution has no real purpose or direction. Good branding is decidedly human when you become the garage hero of your idea. Behind the garage door scene, brand leaders like Disney, Google, and Amazon began somewhere, just like you, to have their ideas stand out and get noticed. Your big idea could be one brand transaction away from developing an active messaging platform that your customers can't get enough of. I really like that introduction. I think it's smooth. I think it transitions well into my next section, which I call amplifying the problem. And I think we talked about this a little bit. So I actually stage my sections. And I think that's a huge takeaway for anybody that is trying to build their own website. It doesn't have to just be for your portfolio, but any sales copy. I like to use sections that have purposes to help tell that story.
Yeah, that's great. So my, and I agree, having sort of sections, and that's what I do as well. And I track it in my Rome. And so I'll have like different sections. And then as I write those, sometimes you can even find that you can kind of pull and you can kind of move things too. You can say, this actually
Right.
works, this works better up top, or I could pull this down some. So I want to ask my first question, and again, you kind of already talked on this some, but
hmm
who is a person that you would see reading this?
That is the challenge right now because I am a freelancer and I am more than just a conversion copywriter and designer. Um, I want to keep my portfolio kind of open. So I'm not sure. I did have a target in mind. My background is healthcare technology, mostly in corporate. I've done some freelance with physical therapy and balance centers, which is a franchise. Um, so it's kind of difficult. I do want to pick an audience, but I kind of need help with that, and that's why we're doing this as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I don't want to go too broad, but I don't want to go too specific because when people land on this page, um, it kind of defeats the purpose. That something else that you might find interesting is I don't intend on including a services page because I don't want people to get the preconceived notion that, oh, he offers all this, but what about, something that's not listed on there? So if people want to contact me directly through email or my contact page, which we'll get to, I want that to come up in a real conversation. I don't want them to make assumptions through a services page. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah, it
It's
does.
a little bit different of something that I'm trying and testing out, but I think it's going to have a really good backbone to it and springboard.
Yeah, so my initial thoughts are, I will say I don't know what decidedly human means,
hmm
you know, um, and I think garage hero is an interesting concept, and you do kind of jump in and try to explain it.
hmm
So that's good there. But again, I think this comes down to who you're going after. So if you are
Correct.
going after more of a corporate brand type company,
hmm
then this will probably appeal to them more than if you were going after like a smaller company trying to make sales, right away.
Okay.
This to me seems more like a branding type offer where you're going to come in and consult and restructure and write some things and come up with some unique uh, words or ways to explain something that they've already done and sort of create an emotional connection with their core audience. So that's more what I feel. I don't This to me doesn't scream like I'm going to help you sell something, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. So if that's what you're going for, then I think you're on the right track.
It is, and to your point of view, it it is targeted more towards building a project roadmap, and I'm getting towards that. I had a I had an incident maybe that's not the right word, but I've been working with an online marketing specialist locally, and his company is in the automotive industry. And they do remanufacturing of auto parts and things like that. Um, and the challenge that he's having is he's not a copywriter for one. He's more of a technical. He builds like e-commerce websites or something like that,
Yeah.
dynamic, you know, scripts and things like that. So getting his company to understand who the voice of the customer is through research has been, it's been a challenge because they're not willing to make a sudden change to that. They're too in love with their product per se, and I'm sure you know how that can go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's new to them, and I understand that. So the mistake that I made is that I created all this beautiful copy that he loved, but his boss, the owner of the company, it just wasn't set in stone. So moving forward, I think if I came up with like a visual a visual overview and roadmap of what the copy would do, as opposed to what it says, would at least explain, well, here's an example, and if you follow this roadmap, these are the results that you can expect. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does. And we do have we do have a comment from Johnny, a guy that I know, and he basically says, to him, and I totally see where he's coming from here, is he feels like there's too much coded language. So he says, I don't know what a garage hero is,
Hmm.
um, and he feels like the behind the garage door is a little bit worded a little bit awkwardly, so it could be tweaked some. Um, I do know when you read that first line, there was a little part where you kind of skipped over.
Hmm.
So I think that there may be a case here where you could come up with something a little more just like understandable, because
Yeah.
you got to think too, like people, if they visit this site, are they
Hmm.
going to want to figure it out? And my experience, people are lazy. You
You're
know,
right. No, you're right.
they're
You're
gonna
right.
read it and go, huh, okay,
Yeah.
and that's why I brought up decidedly human.
Hmm.
Um, I think the problem that we face in our industry, so to speak, is that we want to be like, these really cool brand companies. We want to be like Coca Cola, but the problem is we don't have the funding, right? They spend hundreds of millions, if not billions, every year to just drill home, drill home, drill home. Like if you had that kind of budget, you could
Hmm.
become known as the garage hero guy who is decidedly human, and people would say decidedly human. That's
Hmm.
JJ. But
Right.
unfortunately, we don't have that kind of budget or time. So they're going to come here, and what the headline should do first and foremost is to clearly display a benefit
Okay.
to the person who's here on the site right now.
Right.
What's in it for them? Are they gonna? Why should they read more?
Right.
You know?
So I think I know how to solve that, and this has been the challenge with building your own personal brand in your own site. I should have started with my offer first and worked my way backwards to the value proposition, and that's what I intend to do, moving forward.
Yeah, and JJ, I have the same problem. It's so
Hmm.
hard for me too when I'm selling my own stuff.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. It's like very tough because your mind is like it gets in your own way. Um, so,
Yeah.
but I do think that you've got something here, but
Hmm.
but I think that it's almost just a few steps above where people are at. This to me is just very, very corporate in that,
That's
you know,
me.
yeah, yeah. And so you may, again, if you now, but picture getting this in front of the CMO of a
Yeah.
company, right?
Hmm.
Um, if you're referred in, they'll probably skim this and go, yeah, he can write good. That's fine. Let's go. But if they're cold, they're gonna have no idea. They're gonna say, I don't know what this is even saying. Because right now, what you
Hmm.
have on the screen is probably what all that 80% of people will see, because they're not gonna scroll. They're gonna go,
Okay.
"Eh, that's it." So you really want to look at what is a core benefit of
Mm-hmm.
either what you do or what they'll learn if they continue to read. I think there's an idea, if you want to stick with the branding concept, I think a
Mm-hmm.
more unique concept, and again, not saying that this is it, but something that you could pursue would be the idea of well, the giving a voice to an idea.
Okay.
I think that's kind of interesting. We have all these great ideas in our company, but the problem is they don't get heard
Right.
because they don't have a voice, and that's what I do. I give voices to your ideas or your product. Um, that to me at least sounds like interesting and kind of like
I
neat.
can definitely work with that. That's good insight. Thanks. So my call to action, if I'm scrolling through some of this, is obviously I want people to view my work before they contact me. I thought that might be, and I've gotten some differences of opinion. Why am I not making an offer? Well, first of all, I don't have ConvertKit set up yet, and I'm just trying to build my portfolio, and I'm still restructuring. So yeah, I got a bit of a ways to go, but ultimately, I want people to view my work and then ask questions, second or third. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes, again, you're kind of playing a longer strategy here, so you're not
Yeah, I am.
anyone. Yeah, so and that is okay with corporate stuff. The one thing I would say that I would try to do if you're going to, if that's your strategy, I
Hmm.
would, and I get you've got to get ConvertKit, but I would get some kind of an opt-in on there to give them
Right.
something, because you want to get them on your email address or your email list so you can email
Hmm.
them a lot. So
No,
because
I agree.
yeah,
Yeah, I've done welcome series before. So I just not ready for that step yet. So it
yeah,
kind of defeats the purpose of setting it up until I'm actually ready. So I suppose I should continue on here. So
yeah, that's it.
this next section is what I like to call amplify the problem. It's nothing new. It's something that I discovered through Donald Miller and the brand story. Is that what it's called? Story
Yeah,
branding. And I like this transition because what I like to do is, in the first section, create the experience, and then it's almost like you take it away. You amplify the problem to where you try to help the audience visualize what the outcome would be like, and then you amplify the problem first. So, and this isn't made off the top of my head. I've done research on this, and I've tried to come up with uh, some negatives that can be turned into positives if, in fact, they have the right strategy in place. So, the rising commitment to master your brand's voice for your customers, a single platform accessible to millions of consumers, all of the world controlled by technology. So, I'm kind of going after the technology approach because there's a lot of things out there that are being created. I just don't think they're being utilized the correct way. There's a lot of things that can go wrong and can be costly with technology, and that's kind of where I come in, especially if these five main points. I don't have to read all this stuff if that's not good use of the time, but and everybody in the audience can on the call can read them on their own. But I thought these were pretty clear and concise, and they are very uh, good things to that will resonate well with the marketplace. So that's why I came up with your sales cycle takes too long and lots of business deals or near closes and opportunities are lost. Your customers aren't getting quite enough value out of the product and end up turning to one of your competitors. Your internal and or external team members are constantly raising red flags over strategic decisions that radically change production and launch times. So all of these things I've actually experienced in corporate, and that's why I thought that they would really hit a nerve or a hot button with the audience when I've defined who that is.
yeah,
Tracking on that? Yeah.
yeah. So a few quick
Yep.
comments. I think I always love pointing out problems. I always
Hmm.
I have an acronym that I call PAIN, and that is
Hmm.
basically like point out the problem, amplify it, which is kind of what this step is, and
Hmm.
then the big one that people uh, you know tend to skip is inform them of the consequences.
Ah.
uh, because we're very good at being like, well, that's bad for them but not for me. Like there's people that are, even me when I was 400 or 500 pounds, I always thought, oh, I'll be fine. I'm the one guy that's going to be fine, because we never want to face the real problems. So
Hmm.
that informs them. And of course, the end is basically notify them they must take action, right? You notify them that they need to change. That's sort of my steps there. Now, again, going back to that sort of sub headline here is, I think there's a lot of corporate speak there, but I don't. To me, I don't really know what that means. The rising commitment to master your brand's voice for customers. What is the single platform? Is it the internet? Or is that what we're speaking about? Like, what's
Okay.
controlling technology? I don't know what that is. And then
Okay.
and then also I'm getting a little bit confused on what. I think you've done a good job of pointing out these issues, but I don't know. I don't understand how this one person, JJ, is going to help me fix all this stuff, and what it all, like, what are you about, right? Like, what do you
Hmm.
do? Like, do you come in? Are you a consultant for technology? Are
Okay.
you a consultant for the brand?
Okay.
Are you going to write copy for us? Are you going to redesign stuff, right? I don't follow what it is you're going to do. There's no real hints yet to what you do, right?
Okay. So I have a challenge of simplifying what it is that I'm writing. I always knew that about myself.
Yeah, yeah, because I
um,
think, yeah, I think when you're so broad,
hmm.
it's tough, because, and here's the thing that I learned just from experience, in the business side. um, Even though it seems counterintuitive, the more you can niche down, the more you kind of do better. It's just quite odd. But if you, like, one of our biggest brands, we've taken from one, we've within a year we went from one, not quite 1 million to 5.5 gross. And that niche is actually like menopausal women who want to lose weight with the keto diet. Like, I thought that was like a tiny little niche, and we're talking about mainly only in Australia and New Zealand. So, you
Wow.
think how many people can that be? But obviously, that audience, when they see that offer, they're like, "Wow, that's me. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I need."
Yeah.
And
It's
so
very.
and you can always branch out, and you can always do other things. You can have different sites or different landers for different offers. But I think
Okay.
you really do need to hone in on like one person that you're going to do one thing for, that's going to give them a
Okay.
big result. What's the one thing you can do for one person? And if you get that right to them, get a couple of people, and then you may get feedback. You may get people saying, oh, can you do this or can you do that? And maybe you can, maybe you can't. But
Hmm.
I think until then, it's going to be tough to ever get like cold traffic from this stuff, because there's no clear offer.
So if I was to shorten that list and get more specific with my audience, I can always branch out as people kind of get to know me and start adding other insights into what it is I do and how that might even interplay with the existing audience that I work with. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
I
Yeah,
like that. I like that. That's good.
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I would ask myself, I would read each of these
Uh-huh.
5 points, and then I would write down, and this is more for you, but
Yeah.
what are you going to actually do to fix
Okay.
it? What is it that you're going to do? Because that's your offer, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it takes too long and lots of business deals or near closes and opportunities are lost. Okay, that's true, but what are you going to do about it? You know, what are you going to do for me to solve that?
Sure.
And that right there, that all by itself, that's a problem with an answer that could be solved, and that's all you need to really focus on. And
And
then
I
your
could
whole
write 10
offer,
emails about that. Yeah, for
right?
sure.
And your whole piece could be, you know, that could be your whole sales page, right? And then your specialty is I come in and I rewrite your scripts, I rewrite your emails, I rewrite your follow up, I create content to help, solve that problem, whatever, right? But I think that is enough. If you think about it, that's enough to write a whole page on. Just that one line,
Yeah.
whole sales page. I've been studying. I'm currently writing a blog post that's going to be like I'm doing like 50 different ads, and I'm doing like a breakdown of every ad, from like Google ads, Facebook ad, Instagram ads, TikTok ads, like every ad, and I'm seeing more and more how clear they are,
Hmm.
because you truly can only hit one or two things per ad.
Okay.
That's about it. Just because,
Yeah.
I played one of them that I did was a Burger King ad, and during the ad, it was only like a 50-second ad, but at 4 or 5 times, they were able to get in like it's $1, it's cheesy, it's bacon, like they repeated it,
Yeah.
boom, 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 and that's about it. That's all they could do, and they fit that into the story. So I think that you're going to have to do something like that to really get this tightened up, and you've got to know, and this comes back to what you want to do. Like, who do you want to
Yeah.
serve? How do you want to spend your time? Well, like me, I can help people with copy, I can help them with emails, I can help them probably with branding, but that's not my strongest suit.
Mm.
Um, scaling for sure, some paid traffic for sure, some content, but I don't want to list all that at one time.
Yeah.
If
Right. Right.
you are going to do that, then you're going to be more of a consultant. And if you're going
Okay.
to be more of a consultant, then in reality, you need to kind of restructure to just get people on the phone and then talk them through it, and have your scripting walk through and bring out all of their individualized problems,
Hmm.
and then make the consulting sale at that point.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna kind of skip some of this stuff after getting feedback from you and those on the call.
Yeah.
I've considered dumping this homepage and just making it more of a portfolio. And then I've been considering starting a blogging platform that goes into more of the specific value that I offer to
Yeah.
kind of help me see where my audience is coming from, who's engaging with the content that I'm writing, and then I could go back and maybe write the sales copy for it. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's very good. I think that the
Okay.
best the best way possible to show your value is to show value. You know,
Sure.
just demonstrate you know what you're talking about by demonstrating it, and let people
Um,
read that. And then also, yeah, you'll see where the action happens. What are they
right.
commenting on? What are you getting emails about? What did they hate?
Yeah.
Whatever. You want that feedback.
Great. And I was thinking of doing something like this. How you plan your family vacations can determine the lifetime value of your customer. I don't know if that's too corporate, but I could really get into this and turn this into a value offer that might end up turning into that whole project roadmap I was talking about. I'm not sure if that would be too broad, but now that we've had this conversation, I think I'm going to start a blog platform
Yes.
and just work on creating value. And I'm going to discover a lot about what it is that I really get excited about. So thanks for that, Mike.
Oh yeah, man, for sure. Now this is cool. So I like this a lot.
Okay.
I
I
think,
thought about starting with this too, you know?
yeah, I think that you can. I think that you should brand it in some way.
Okay.
Now it's tough because you don't want to really brand around the word Disney
Yeah.
because they'll sue you. Yeah, they're
No,
one
no,
of
no, no.
those.
That's
Yeah,
not,
but I
yeah,
mean, I
no.
think it's fine the way you've got it now. But I'm saying what I'm
Right.
thinking is naming it. So instead of saying family vacation, come
Yeah.
up with a cool name, whatever,
Sure.
some kind of
Sure.
family travel pack kind of thing, or you know, like you said, a Disney guide, but maybe a different theme park or a certain spot, a
Mm-hmm.
location, winter getaway, something that's a little bit brandable. So you could kind of pitch that. I think this would be a great opt in too. Really, really good.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Then you know, let people continue to
Yeah,
do that. I have someone coming to my door. Just 1 second, JJ. Sorry, guys.
yeah,
I'll go
sure.
back.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
That's
I didn't
okay.
want the dogs to come in and start going crazy.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Yeah. So anyway, like I was saying, I think this is strong. I think this is very interesting, and especially if this ties into what you're going to sell ultimately. This kind of cues up. Many times, a great thing to do is use your free reports to kind of like you were saying, amplify the problem and talk about the solution, but without necessarily solving it for them. Especially with this, it sounds like your answers are going to be very, very customized, right? It's sounding like it's not just a one size fits all cookie cutter type answer. So that's you know,
No, I mean I have a lot of idea. I could talk about Magic Kingdom. I could talk about Epcot Center. I could talk about, how important design and advertising is uh if you go to Las Vegas. So those all kind of tie into the relatability of what people will remember.
yes, I think that
As
I think those also would be really, really good viral blog posts.
I agree. Um, so yeah, but going back to the original, I mean, this is hard for me. Writing for myself, building my personal brand, and for everybody on the call, if you have a problem with this, I think I answered my own question. I'm going to start my own blog.
Yeah, I think truthfully, a great thing about that when you write, you learn to think better. Writing is really just a form of thinking. Um, so,
Mm-hmm.
there you go. I mean, even that right
Mm-hmm.
there is actually a more focused headline, right? Because you're at
Mm-hmm.
least making an offer, sort of. I now know what you're going to do for me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, Incomparable branding assets and product experiences, so you never have to take margin orders from someone else. So I don't necessarily know that that's the most important problem that audience has, the
Mm-hmm.
taking orders from someone else, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it's extremely the first part's very strong. That you're gonna as far as what you're going to do.
Right.
That's good.
The rest of this, it feels kind of a disconnect. It doesn't, I mean, I'm an ex-military, so that's kind of my personality. That kind of comes from my work ethic and corporate speech.
Yeah.
I need to work on my personality, I guess. Uh, this whole idea of events don't exist or happen without an established process. I mean, that's very strong and it does help cultivate a larger than life image for an audience. But I don't think that's really what I want to weave into right away. I think I need to show some more personality here,
Yeah.
talk about kind of my, without getting into huge detail, kind of the road that I took to get here. I love being transparent and that I'm just a human, just like I make human mistakes, just like anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
So
going to
that,
say, if you told a little bit of your story from the military background,
yeah,
people like that quite a bit.
yeah. And then I get a little bit too corporate again. uh, but one thing that I learned, and this may, sound pretty corporate, down here as to who I am, um, is something that I wanted to put in quotes, and it's something that I think is maybe I can work on uh, dumbing it down a little bit. But this was something that I feel very strongly towards in regards to repeat business growth and the fact that a lot of brick and mortars or even a lot of companies, they don't need the overhead anymore. You don't need a large infrastructure to uh, expand to a wider audience and things like that, right?
Yeah, it's very true. And so I think that's a great, again, I do think you're that many times what I'm seeing is you have the right thinking going
Okay.
on, but then you're
Hmm.
not clearly cutting that main point out and making that the main focus. So like
Okay.
the example of 10% per year, right?
Hmm.
That's a very, very powerful, strong offer in a sense,
Right.
right? So
Right.
when I read that, I have to read I have to scroll midway down. I have to then go to this subsection, and then I have to read the third paragraph in, where I
Okay.
finally see your earning potential should increase by at least 10% every year, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's what people want, right?
True.
People
Right.
they don't really want to know why JJ is different from others. They don't care. They want to know what are you going to get me, JJ? What am I going to get from this? And so, if you have a strategy to show them how to increase their earnings by at least 10% every year, I mean that's strong. It's not, and the cool thing about it is it's not like an over the top offer, right? You know what I mean? It's not like I'm
Hmm.
going to
Right.
triple your sales in a month, right? Like they're going to go, sure, right? But 10% per year, that's real life. And if you're the owner, you're thinking that 10% goes to me. That's my profit. That's my.
Right.
And so if they're already, let's say they make 200,000 a year, then they're thinking that's 220 grand. That's enough to maybe send my kid to school, or pay for that trip, right? Like that's a very believable thing. So you could also try to translate the savings or the additional earnings into real tangible things. That's always a good way to get people to like see it, because that's your whole goal, right? You want them to see themselves either earning
Yes.
more, making more, growing more, cutting costs, whatever. But again, all this comes down to, I think the core of the problem, and you said this too,
Yeah.
is like what is the offer,
Right.
right? Because
Right.
you're writing around this concept, but there's no idea, there's no clear like it is this is what I sell, right? If you
Hmm.
came to me and said I sell consulting services to help minimize, like we talked about, I help shorten the sales cycle for any company that sells a product that costs more than 3,000. Boom, you know what I mean? Like now, you see how easy it is to write about that, because you
Yeah.
just say, "Hey, are you a company that sells a $3,000 or more product who's struggling with long sales cycles? Is cash flow got you in a crunch? Well, I can show you how to benefit, 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 even if you perceive pain point, perceive pain point, perceive pain point. It all starts with my guide, my the how your last vacation planning could have how you can I'm not sure how to say it, but how your last vacation planning session could have been used to cut your cash flow crunch and solve this and solve that. solve that. Get the report right now, and let's shave 30 days off your average close time. You see how it's just like much simpler.
Yep.
You don't have to say a lot. They don't care about who JJ is at that point because
Yeah.
they want to know. And then in that piece, you could say, "Hey, I'm JJ, and I was in this armed services, and I discovered this, and this, and that. I've learned to streamline everything. I was forced to think about steps and processes. And as I got older, when I got out, I worked in a factory where everything was like inputs, outputs, processes, and I've uncovered how to apply my background to the sales cycle. Right, boom, 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 and now everything ties in.
I think that mind mapping is going to be my next best friend because it's such a simplified approach to connecting one idea to the next and then adding supporting details. So I'm reading a book on it, and I would never thought that I would learn from a mind mapping book. There's softwares everywhere, right? And I learned so much about. I don't want to say there's a wrong way to mind map, but there's definitely a productive, smart way to build mind maps.
Yep. Yes, there is. I
Um, Go
I
ahead.
I do that. I do mind maps sometimes, but I usually just do what I would call like a brain dump. I just
Yeah, I do that too.
but because I'm not very artsy, so mine always look look real bad.
Oh, the software does most of the legwork for you
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah, it's true.
For anybody in the group, there's a free mind mapping software out there called GetMind, and it does a fabulous job of building mind maps for you. Maybe I
Is
can
it
create an example and show a screenshot of some of the stuff that I'm working on at some
yeah.
point.
Is it get mind G? Is it GIT?
Yeah,
Pull that up right now. Yeah, I see it. I'll share this in the.
getmindmap.com. So GITMIND.com.
Yeah, I've got one right here actually.
It does a lot more than most mind maps do that I've discovered, because you can change the color of the branches so that each idea flows into the right color, the right supporting details. You can also change the thickness of those branches so that you can follow that connection from one supporting detail or idea to the next or subtopic. That's what I love about it. That's what it does.
Okay, very cool. All right, so this is a little bit more of your about.
Yeah. Yeah, this is more me now. It still needs some work. It feels kind of like, yeah, I have 10 years of experience in this and that, blah blah. That's all good, but that's not really what I want to convey here. Um, I do have a section here, because I use a lot of lean UX, precision copywriting, and visual communication, be it that I'm a designer as well, into my copy, and to make it uh, not just stand out, but resonate from one idea or uh, um, one headline or phrase or subheadline to the next. I try to do that. And I do it in a minimalistic approach as well, so that it's not overwhelming. Um,
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, see, I do think in some ways you're a victim of your own skills. You
yeah, yeah,
you can do a lot. So that's why I say your options are either to streamline and come up with like a systemized product that you
hmm,
always sell, or really just get that consulting
yeah,
funnel set up and get people on a call, find out
hmm,
what their pain points are, and then customize your answer with a price point to solve it.
yeah. One of the things, and I want to get to my work page, because that's the heart and stone of what I do, or what I'm capable of doing, without showing words right away.
Yeah.
But this is important to me on a project. Working with me on a project will redefine the meaning of the word loyalty, because when I work with the right company or the right creators or small businesses, um, I'm like Velcro. I don't go away, and I'll make sure the job gets done until it gets done, until you get the results that you're looking for. There's no quitting me, you know? So, but if, this is important to me as well. If you need to earn my trust, my portfolio is your opportunity to invest in some initial trust where I deliver value and demonstrate authenticity. My intention is to never claim expertise and only crowd you with, that comes back to my headline, incomparable experiences from real world application testing and execution. So that's something that I definitely want to stand out from the masses as to who I am, and um, what comes with the work that I do. So having said that, I did something different here. I am a developer and designer, and I wanted to do, this is what's called like a fixed split screen, so that as I grow this portfolio of work, you just kind of scroll down here. That's why I have scroll down to view more. This always stays in place over here. I don't know what you think about this. Digital marketing and content inspired by visual voices driven by real experiences. And here's a quote from me: my portfolio is built on conversion copywriting and content creation best practices. It will demonstrate how research and structured ideas can lead an audience to self-discovery. Now, I know I write a lot of corporate stuff, but ultimately, and I think this will really be showcased in the blog when I set that up, is that when I create value and I put together structured ideas, they will lead, they will help self motivate people to take some type of action, or it will lead to their own self discovery. And to me, that's the most important thing in copywriting. It's not just making it the sale, it's about you being able to quantify your own value. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. That's a very good point. And I think to jump back a step, for
Hmm.
me, again, with this headline, it is corporate, but I do think the way you structured it is very creative. I do like that, but I think again, I'm not sure what visual voices are.
Okay.
Um, that would, again, I just don't know. So there is that idea of sort of this coded speak, right? Of like,
Okay.
what is that? What's a visual voice? Um, what does driven by real experiences, that what does that mean for me? Well, why do I care about that? That's the question that they're going to be asking.
Is it fair to say that maybe, I mean, this comes from trying to build my own portfolio. I'm trying to represent who I am, and that it's difficult for me.
Yeah.
I've written for I've written for companies and things that I know nothing about, and when you write and do voice of customer research, it's a lot easier. It
Yeah.
just is.
Yeah, it's true. Well, yeah, I just think I do think the key to the whole thing, which I said in the chat too, is getting clear on the offering, getting clear on what it is you're selling.
Sure.
And I think
Yeah.
you do a lot. Like we said, you can do the design, you can do the copy, you kind of do the branding, you can talk about brand voice. So there's a lot of things there, and I think again, to reiterate, I think we either need to come up with a package
Yeah.
or consulting.
Okay.
Pretty much it.
And this is just kind of, here's a sample of what I do for a portfolio. And I think this part of what I do will give your viewers a lot of different insights into how they might want to structure their portfolio. I am, I am not a fan of doing writing samples. If I'm going to do this, I want to have a challenge. I have a solution here that's very specific. I talk a little bit about what the project is, and then I offer value kind of like in a blog type format
Yeah.
where I've done work and I talk about what are the benefits of doing it this way or what I came up with. Um, this one, for instance, this was very simple, but when it comes to certain values, when you're just trying to get someone on your email list, instant gratification works very well where there's a low barrier to entry offer. And I think that that's an important takeaway for someone that is trying to build, an email list from scratch. So coming up with a checklist specific to your product line or what your audience would take you up with their email and first name is why I wanted to give more than just, oh, here's a sample of what it would look like. Well, what does that mean to me? It means all these other things. Does that make sense?
Yeah. This is cool. So I think this is
I'll
very,
scroll up.
yeah, this is a very valuable structure. So this is
Okay.
an offer that you built, and then you made a page
Yes,
to explain the whole thing.
correct.
Yeah, that's very powerful, and your designs are very good. I think you're great with fonts and all that. So this is this is good stuff.
So those are all the same for each one of these. This is what I just updated today. Those are some websites I've done. These are social media posts. And here's some marketing collateral that I've done. Once again, and you know, I'm trying to add value to anybody that visits my portfolio or wants to see what I've done so that there is a takeaway.
Yeah, this is great stuff.
Okay, cool. Good.
This is I think these have been the strongest of the whole thing.
And that's why I'm considering dropping the whole homepage and making the focal point
We're
this right here. I'll just kind of make this very simplified
in
and
benefit.
just jump right into the portfolio.
Yep. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's really good. And I was going to say with that headline, it focus
Yeah,
focus on a benefit for them.
I agree. And then the last page that I have is just a simple contact page with a few testimonials that I have so far.
I like that. One thing that I would do as well,
Hmm.
if you can, I would look at structuring. Is there a way to get those testimonials in some format on your portfolio page too? Maybe underneath that page that kind of stays static, because not
Yeah,
everyone can click over.
yeah, I agree with that as well. I want to share something that you might have not have heard of when it comes to testimonials that can be, something that you can move forward with is if you have a good testimonial, one of the things that stands out the most, I like to repeat it up here in bold, but then also have it in here as well. I've seen it from other copywriters and I thought, wow, that's cool. I should do that. So I take the most important benefit that someone wrote about their experience with me, and I make that a bold point before jumping into the whole testimonial itself.
Yeah,
So maybe that's something that others can do too. But I
yeah,
like that idea.
that's a very good point and quite strong. And yeah, I again, I think this is a great structure. Um, yeah, I do think your strongest stuff is here, the testimonials and the reviews or the breakdowns of all your different projects, because
Hmm.
that just shows proof, right? That's a
Yeah,
photo, and so yeah, you want to
right,
get people towards that. For sure.
right. So that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple, broken down. Um, I'm using WordPress. There's, just
Uh,
so everybody, because if the question gets asked, I'm using WordPress. I'm using something called Oxygen Builder and building it from scratch. So there is custom code involved.
yeah, I was
But
gonna say it's using WordPress with Oxygen Builder, right?
yep, in case anyone wanted to know, that's how I built it.
Cool. add that in so people can look that up. This is great.
That's it, Mike.
Well, we did it. So I think, now you've got a pretty good understanding of what you're going to do. I think clarity of what you're selling or what the offer is, um, and the blogging. I think that you have so much info, you've got to start getting it out there, and you have to
Yeah.
educate people, because I think you will have a longer sales cycle in a sense if you're going after bigger companies and more corporate. They're
Yeah.
going they're going to want to see content, and that'll be a big thing.
Now, if you have a few more minutes, doing the blog is not a problem for me. I'm just curious what you think about. I don't want to add it as a subdirectory. I thought maybe I would start something. I have the domain noncopywriter.com, and I thought about that might be my blog platform, so it'd be a separate domain, and I can talk more about what non-copywriting is, which basically is being non-salesy and non-threatening when you make offers and you want people to connect to your products and services.
Right. Yeah. Well, from an SEO standpoint, I'll speak from
Mm-hmm.
both sides. From an SEO
Okay.
standpoint, you're better to have it on the same site as your main site, because it's easier for people to click over and you'll get more traffic going to your main site. Um,
Okay.
if you're thinking about it from like a long-term view, where maybe you're going to sell it off someday,
Okay.
then it would make sense to have a brand as a company, because
Okay.
obviously if everything's on your, jjhiller.com, people aren't going to want to buy that because it's you. So
Okay.
that's,
Okay.
that's that's part of what you have to decide. But I will say, the strongest SEO standpoint is slash blog of the main root domain name, and a couple more little SEO things too. And I know right now you don't have so much of a services page, but you do have the view my um, work page. You
Mm-hmm.
you kind of, whatever your main page is that you want all your traffic to filter to, you want every blog post to link back to that page.
Gotcha. Interlinking is
Yeah,
important. Yes.
yeah. So you want to always link back to your main. I would say for you, the view my work would be your spot. So every single article that you write, in the first probably 200 or 300 words, make sure you're saying, and make sure you view my site, or my portfolio, and drive people there, and that way, and just make sure that there's a way for people to get on your email list, so you'll be able to email them and follow up.
Gotcha. Awesome. I don't think I have any other questions. This was great, Mike.
Awesome. Well, thank you for agreeing to come.
Volunteering.
Yeah, being the first guinea pig. This was fun, and I think we got to break down a whole bunch of stuff. And feel free to email me if there's things that you forgot about, that you did want to ask me. That's fine. Kick me an email, and I want to thank everyone for joining us here. And I'm sure it'll get seen by a lot more people who will watch the replay. So look forward to getting this out there. JJ, thank you.
You
Uh,
bet. Yep. I'm going to the gym now.
all right, man.
All right.
Or hit that gym, man. If you guys want more, go check out copywriterbrain.com. All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys. See you
All
later.
right. See ya.
Bye bye.